Hello everybody, welcome back to CNS Corvettes in beautiful sunny Sarasota, Florida. It's your Corvette buddy Lyle, here to talk to you about more interesting, exciting, and hopefully helpful Corvette stuff. Today we have another episode of What's New in Corvette News at the end of August 2026. One of the first interesting things that happened in the Corvette world is that at the Corvette factory between August 10th and August 21st of this year, there were some interesting numbers that became available to us thanks to Roger Keel's unofficial C8 production tracker. There were 573 Stingray Corvettes made in that time period, and 499 Grand Sports and 74 Grand Sport X's, which means that Grand Sport now represents the exact same percentage of Corvette production as the base Stingray at 39.8, 39.7%, which is particularly interesting because unofficial 26 model year numbers had the Stingray being at roughly 62% of production, and it looks like that the Grand Sport is going to far exceed expectations in what it's going to be able to accomplish this year. In related news, GM and Chevrolet have launched the Grand Sport X configurator on their GM site where you can design your own car. It went live on the 25th, about 12 weeks after the first GSX allocations were issued to dealers. Chevy officially lists the Grand Sport X starting at $109,700. Corvette blogger quotes $112,195, which includes the $2,495 destination charge. That's why you'll see those two different base prices floating around. Of course, it's got the 535 horse LS6, and it has a 186 horsepower front electric drive unit, combining for 721 horsepower. Chevrolet claims a 2.40 to 60 time and a 10.4 second quarter mile in the Grand Sport X. Interestingly, Corvette blogger went on the configurator for the Grand Sport X and built as a heavily optioned 3LT convertible, basically throwing everything but the kitchen sink at it. And they actually ended up at $148,225, including destination charge. I mean, we're talking seriously Z06 money there, but hey, different strokes for different folks, right? In other news, Car and Driver put on their really insane test. They've done this a few times in the past. It is their 0 to 150 and back to 0 test. So the idea is you start off at a dead stop, you accelerate to 150 miles an hour as fast as you can. The moment you hit 150, you jam on the brakes and stop as quickly as you can. And whatever vehicle can do that in the lowest amount of time wins. Well, let me tell you, ZR1X won it this year. Absolutely won it, clear. It was able to do 0 to 150 to 0 in 14 seconds flat. What's interesting is it wasn't the fastest 0 to 150 miles an hour. That was the Lucid Air Sapphire, which of course is an EV, and it tied the McLaren 750S in braking, but its overall performance in both acceleration and braking was what earned it the win. In the world of Corvette racing, well, the Corvette racing teams had a tough time at Virginia International Raceway on August 23rd. This was the Michelin GT Challenge, is what they call it, and both Corvettes struggled. The number 3 car wrecked out on cold tires and after maybe bumping a Porsche on the first lap of the race, so they were done. The number 4 car had good pace and it looked like it was going to be really competitive. They had 2 problems. In the first pit stop, they couldn't get the door to close. So like Ford versus Ferrari vibes there. And then in their final pit stop of the race, they had a problem where they couldn't take on as much energy as they wanted to. They're calling it energy, but we all know they mean fuel. And they had to basically, the last driver had to basically just baby the car around the track, conserving fuel as much as he could. Could have probably finished second or maybe even first, ended up finishing 6th. So they've got some work to do with their pit stops. A topic those of you who watch our Corvette news broadcasts here are familiar with are updates on Corvette ordering constraints from the factory. So we have serious constraints. Let me go ahead and run through them for you. The mid-August Corvette order cycle still had 22 constrained items and options, according to dealer constraint information reported by Corvette Blogger. Carbon fiber aero continues to be one of the major headaches. Examples include extremely limited availability of certain Grand Sport and Z06 carbon fiber pieces, while some coupe engine appearance packages were at 0% availability. Then Corvette Blogger reported another weird situation. Some Stingray buyers apparently ordered a $1,550 four-post high wing because the normal Z51 spoiler was constrained. But during the 6 to 8 weeks between ordering and production, that wing also went on constraint. So we have cars showing up at dealers reportedly with rear fascias, rear bumpers, drilled for those spoilers, but with no spoilers with them. So hopefully some of that's coming up the pike soon, because there's going to be some upset customers if they don't. In addition to those constraints, the Bowling Green plant has announced a 3-week shutdown starting on September 28th. And they're citing supplier issues. Now, they aren't giving us any more information specifically about that, but clearly carbon fiber is a real problem, and there may be other issues that we aren't even aware of that are slowing down Corvette production because they simply can't get the parts. The most expensive Corvette in history was recently sold at Sotheby's auctions, and it was one of the original 5 1963 Corvette Grand Sports. Now, these cars were, and I've actually made a full video about the history of those cars. Here's a link up above or below if you want to find that. These cars were not just dressed up mid-years. These were actual custom-built race cars built for GM by ZR1X Duntov, and they were absolutely stunningly quick. They were built to be the answer to Ford's and Shelby's Cobra on the racetrack. This was 1963 Corvette Grand Sport Chassis 003, which was the first coupe and the third overall production. It was sold for $18,705,000, making it the most valuable Corvette ever sold at auction. The racing history was, it started out in 1963. It had 3 SCCA class win victories. It competed during the Bahamas Speed Week, which is famously where they had to put the hash marks on the front of the car that are still part of the Grand Sport legend. A second in class in Nassau Trophy, and AJ Foyt, John Cannon drove it at Sebring, bunch of famous drivers. And then 65, it finished third in class at Sebring, and after that, GM's ban on motorsport effectively ended the program. In fact, it was supposed to be a much larger factory program, and the Grand Sports that got built, if you believe the rumors, were something that ZR1X pushed through even when he knew the ban was coming, just because he wanted him to exist and do some racing with them. That does it for Corvette news this week, guys. I hope you're having a great week, and I hope we see you again soon for more Corvette fun. Thanks for watching.